But it's got to be me.
You ready?
Oh my gosh. Good morning, everybody. It is Monday morning. I had to think about what day it was. Good morning, everyone. It is Monday morning. I am your host for the Let's Talk Java show. I'm your host, Laarni Mulvey, the Power Lady. And I have to tell you guys, I've been talking to Pratibha already for like 30 minutes. So we've been talking ghost stuff. We've been talking about people and boundaries and who we are as people. Oh my God. And I was like, okay, we got to record. We got to record. So now we are recording this episode with her. I'm so glad that she is here on the show with me today because she's one of my virtual friends. I have not met her yet. And I know we will eventually. But today I have her on the show, the pod show, Let's Talk Java. And I want to introduce Pratibha Dey. Hello, how are you?
Yay, I like it. Let's talk Java. I got my mug too, and you got your mug.
Yes. So first of all, let's get this question out of the way. So what is in your cup today?
Oh, this is Anthony's Arabica coffee from Amazon. Instant. Yeah.
Oh, I have it's a local brew. It's called Two Brothers Dark Brew Coffee.
What's it?
Two Brothers is actually a local brewery. They have amazing beers, but I didn't know they had coffee. And so when I was walking down the coffee aisle trying to replenish, I'm like, oh, what's that? So I picked it up. So it's really good.
And I want to share with you that this coffee is for traveling. So when I was traveling, when I was in Georgia and Pine Mountain, that's why the instant coffee. And then I always like the taste, so I just keep buying it. But I do smoothies too after this. No more coffee, just smoothies, Yeah. Coffee can also bring me down. Yeah.
Oh, really? Oh, see,
it can make me sleepy.
It makes you sleepy?
Yeah, because my immune system is so used to caffeine. Chai Together, what I stand for. So if, I have chai with my mom, so that's caffeine. Then I have coffee as well in the day. That's like double the caffeine. So like my immune system can feel like tired,
Today, Mondays are my big cups of coffee. Like I need a big, because it's, we catching up and everything, getting my week ready. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I need a bigger cup of coffee today.
I just have to say, I'm so happy I met you. I don't know how we came across online, but you're real like me. Whenever I record, I'm like, hey, I've been talking to this person for this long. Like, it's just raw and pure. And that's what I like about you. And I think that's why we get along, is because we tell, like, I'm not about sugarcoating anything. Like I've been in life to sugarcoat,
right.
Like, anything to fear.
I know, we've been talking for like 30 minutes, you guys. If I had recorded earlier, this is like a great show. It was a great conversation. You guys needed to like have your cup of coffee and just like, or some popcorn and just listening to us. So Pratibha, tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, the usual. Tell us a little about you.
Who am I?
Who are you?
Bob Proctor says, we're not our name, our identity, etc. But so Pratibha actually means genius. So I was born in India.
That's cool.
Yeah. And I'm from the Kshatriya tribe, which is a tribe of educators in my background from the Deva dynasty. That's DEVA. So that's before my time, when they would have like the wars and tribes. And so that's my background regarding that. And I came to the States in 1999. And so who I am now is a very strong woman, like another power lady.
That's right.
What I do here is I have a show just like Laarni's, a talk show, because before, people call it video podcast, etc. Podcast, like, and it's like, it takes a journey to figure that out. So my brand is called Chai Together, and the Chai Together comes from my mom and I having Indian masala chai together. And this was during a time when she wasn't on meds, and she's diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia. So I turned my pain into purpose by showcasing solo videos as a caregiver and telling people what schizophrenia is, what I was going through with my mom last year in 2020. And then I started interviewing guests who have brain health concerns, and anyone who has a mental health journey, which should be everybody, whether you want to admit it or not. Everyone has some form of trauma, but some people aren't willing to admit it. That's fine. That means they're not there yet. And I don't take on people on my show who are who aren't able to be vulnerable, because you have to tell your truth. If you're not ready to tell your truth, or you have family secrets you haven't told anyone, then it's not you. So that's what I do. And now I just launched my first program, the Chai Together Collective, where I help people with mental resolve. And so truly, I've been giving this free value for over a year consistently. I have over 100 something videos, and I'm just always in the online space, but I decided that I want to do it for a living, as in, I'm a leader and I'm very powerful and I have a power voice, and I work with Mr. Les Brown. So I'm not someone who would really be best for a job unless it's a leadership role, because I would have to never let someone make me feel inferior or talk down to me. And I just went through too much in life to have a job define me or something. Yeah.
I went through the same journey. And I think it's funny because when we were talking before we started recording, like we were talking about Halloween shows and stuff like that. And I was like, we are on the same wavelength. We are the same. I mean, with the Halloween stuff, we're a little different, but we were thinking it. We were like actually on the same wavelength of that.
But the fact that I can be honest with you, I wouldn't have said that, like, if someone else's show, right? I wouldn't feel comfortable. Like, it wouldn't be like a friend conversation,
Yeah. Yeah. And I think like I really believe that we were meant to like meet each other. And like connect with each other and help each other out and laugh with each other. That's like the best part. Like we were just like laughing our butts off about like some like outside drama that we're just like, what, screw you, goodbye. So like tell us a little bit about like why you started Chai Together. Like I'm interested in that.
Oh, you don't know yet?
No, I don't know. Tell me.
Oh man, yeah, I have a very heavy story, and that's also in the collective document that I created for people who don't know me. So when they click it to sign up with me, they can read my whole story. And so my story goes from 5 years old, from, incest to molestation, family members to, physical abuse, going to the police, the social worker, and everybody failing me in my life, and me being suicidal for 12 years. So I'm 28, going on almost 29. And I just started living last year when I got the help I needed, which was in therapy, and became Reiki certified, did self-development programs and really invested in myself. And so that's how that came about. But Chai Together really came about last year when I came from Thailand, and I was escaping because I found myself. So I was pregnant with my twins, and I came back in 2020. January, and I aborted my twins the last week of January, and I didn't know they were twins. So when I went to the clinic, they said that, and I said, wait a minute. And as a mother's instinct, that thing is real, I believe, because I always ask God for twins. It's just that when I was in a time of trauma, that didn't work out for me, and the father of my children was not going to be there. And that's by because the person was violent, etc., some narcissistic traits. And so I was alone in another country at the age of 26, 27 in this situation with this man I became involved with, because I trusted that the person had a good heart because they were a teacher, and I was teaching ESL in Thailand and volunteering with children because my background's in education. And I found that the person's intention was to use me for a US visa. And I have a regarding this, and the answer that comes is that answer is true, that even if they didn't intend to impregnate, it's really what they wanted, though, because they indirectly brought it up and directly brought it up. And I thought I just didn't have the mental resolve, and I kept falling into this black hole. Then one day I was 4 months pregnant. I could go on the plane, and I ran away, and I called two of my friends here, the one I was sharing with Laarni, who fed me and housed me on her couch in my second trimester. I was sleeping on a couch, pregnant, and she sat with me at welfare for 2 days, and welfare couldn't do enough for me. I hadn't finished my undergrad, and this is nothing that I wanted for my life. So I kind of found myself in a net. And so moving forward from there, I had my friend who helped me get home, my parents who paid for the ticket, and I found myself in the lowest place in life. And so after I had the abortion that night, I had a dream regarding a mug. I had a mug in the dream. I always wanted to open up an art studio coffee shop. So when I dreamt of this mug, there was a brown baby in the mug. I sketched it out. I still have the, information today in my notebook, and I made it come to life. So it was really my subconscious. It was like a blessing, and the baby in the dream felt like they were at peace because I from this pain, and I was having I had 3 panic attacks in my pregnancy. One time I was in Thailand. I was on the floor pregnant in my 2nd trimester with no one to help me. A lot of anxiety, and the father of my child was verbally abusive and going to be physically abusive. Wow. So I got out of there, and I felt very unsafe, especially in another country. I felt like I didn't tell police or US embassy. I didn't have the time, but I just felt like I know that my father's child at the time had connections with the police, so I couldn't trust that. And I just the hell out of there. And this is when I researched this, if anyone's been through anything like this, now I'm in a more healed place, obviously talk about it casually, more so casually, but it was more emotional for me before. But it's interesting that when I researched this, no one's really talking about it, or 2nd trimester. That's why I'm writing my book about abortion in 2nd trimester. And there was just, my story is just so rare that there's not enough people out there who have spoken up or have any Google articles or any help. So that's how Chai Together came about, from that subconscious dream that my kids really redirected me and shifted my focus, because that was my emotional impact. And when that happened, there was no depression, there was no suicidal thoughts. I felt I was renewed after I had abortion surgery. Like automatically, it's like my old self went away. And now I said to myself, I have to be successful, because I just had the biggest loss in my life, which is literally extracting from my womb as a woman. So there's nothing anybody could tell me that could stop me. I could care less, because as a woman, when you go through something like that, it changes you for life. And I don't feel a man can ever understand what a woman's body goes through. And I was producing milk at this time. And I had a belly. So just imagine this Pratibha being someone who's not smiling, and, but I look completely different. I look like shit. And I look like somebody who's homeless, and I didn't have anything. I couldn't even afford a pregnancy pillow, and I couldn't even keep my children. So since that day, that's why I go so hard and have done so much work in a year's time, because they were my driving force, that I have to make something of myself, because I just sacrifice them so I can have my own mental health balance. Yeah.
Wow. Oh my gosh, that story, your story is so amazing. Like I believe in strong women. I believe in women, my body, my choice. I do believe that as well. And it's just amazing that you found that strength inside you. And to put it's like, we were talking about this, like, I love myself 100%. And remember, I was just saying, like, if I'm loving myself 85% during the day, I can only show you love 85%. And when you are putting yourself, it may sound selfish to some people, but really it's helping the collective. Do you want to have another like angry person in the world? No, it's like, I want to have this positivity, and I want to have that continued love, kindness, support for other people. And that begins with me. That begins with ourselves, inside ourselves. And I think that's amazing. So yes, you are a power lady. You may not call yourself a power lady, but you are a power lady. And I love that.
People do call me powerhouse and dynamic, and I do call myself that, but this person you see today, this was not me. I didn't have any mental resolve, like no confidence, never even spoke on screen. It's interesting, because people who know me, the start of the journey, they see, but people who I just met, like you online, in this year, they're not able to see how I really was. Like, I was really, I couldn't recognize that person. Like, I didn't have any, like, I had strength and resiliency, but I had no voice. Like, literally, I had no voice. I was very submissive, just because I didn't know if someone was gonna hit me, etc. So that's why I remained submissive, because I didn't know what someone could do to me. So I just kept quiet my whole life. Now, so
now you have a voice. Now we have a strong voice, and we share it with everybody. Did you know that today was an International Day of the Girl?
Yes, I posted that.
I did not realize that until I was starting to see it. And I'm like, see, Pratibha, wavelength.
Yes, and there's something I'm going to share with you as well. There's a woman who has a story like mine, but 10 times. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yep. On another level, in India, things happen to her. Oh, yeah.
Wow. And it's interesting, like when I'm meeting strong women, and I think about my Women's Strength Initiative that I just launched it in June, and it's very small. Like I'm still, I'm learning all this. Learning all this. And one of the purposes of the Women's Strength Initiative is to connect other women to resources, connect other women to resources. And I just feel that you are a resource now. You have put yourself in the level of, of a resource, because people have stories like yours that don't want to talk about it, that don't want to acknowledge it, and it eats them up inside. And it's like, how do you learn to love yourself after that? Because people will be, they'll judge, they'll guilt, they'll manipulate to make you feel like the bad person when you're really loving yourself enough. You are loving yourself so much that you didn't want to harm other people.
Either way, I could have committed suicide. I could have felt so bad, etc. I didn't have an ounce of depression or anything. I was just on fire that I'm doing my life,
I love it.
But it could have went either way, and I made a choice. I do feel like it's a choice. You can sit there and be depressed, and not in the sense of clinical depression, but choose to go down that route, or you can shift and choose to, be angry and use that anger as a driving force. And that's what I did for Chai Together. Yes. I was angry, very angry last year, because as a mother who loses children, it's only normal to feel that way.
So tell me, how did you find your strength? Where did you shift in your mindset, in your heart? Where did you shift? And then you found your strength to now be a resource for other people.
Well, I was in shock. I was in shock for months. So I didn't even grieve for months properly. I didn't have the space to. I didn't feel comfortable. I wasn't living where I'm living now. I was living out of a suitcase before, during, and after my pregnancy. I had no stability or no home. So I didn't even have the time to grieve. What shifted inside of me was just that decision that I just went through something physically so tragic. I've been through sexual assault and all those things. This is also horrible, but this was on another level because it's carrying human beings inside of me. So this shift happened. Basically, one of the first times I went outside was just in nature. And that's where I'm an earth sign, but I find healing in nature. That's what helps me get through. Just having that decision that I believe, even when I was suffering, even when I was going through that time, the painful decision, everything was a bit shocking and numb, but I always knew that there's something better on the other side of this. I always believe that God's putting me through this because I'm going to come out on the other side. I'm going to be able to release and let this go. So it's that belief. And I always knew I was special in the sense of that, even if my family didn't give me the love I needed, strangers love my personality. I always inspire people since I was a child, how everyone calls me inspiring now. I already had a social media platform. I used to write, and I was always this person. It's just that my inner home environment always brought me down and physically abused me, even though I am the shining light. They don't want me to shine. So what happened during that time was just making the decision. Simply, I can say, being aware what's just happened to me. Okay, what am I going to do next about this? Then I started studying. It's interesting because my therapist had questioned if I was being busy, keeping myself busy so I don't have to deal with their pain. But I realized I wasn't, because I was still able to meditate. But then later on, we realized that that's maybe how I got through it, was keeping myself busy. And I started studying cybersecurity all day on the computer. I started getting certifications, doing other things, anything to be successful. That hunger, that true hunger that now I have to prove myself to myself that I didn't just have this happen to me for no reason. Like, you know, if I hadn't built the resiliency up from my prior times of when I was younger and I was harmed and things, I wouldn't have had the resiliency to go through with this abortion, especially in a second trimester. Second trimester is when the baby is, one of my twins was 15 weeks and one was 14 weeks. It was hiding behind the other. I never saw them because then it would be more traumatic and I wouldn't be able to go through with it. And I said, there is no coming back if I leave here today. So
wow.
no one made the decision for me. I had a few minutes in the bathroom and I had the counseling session and I made the decision to do that because at the time I needed release. I needed to feel better. Like I was so stressed out. And so I had no finances, no degree yet, you know, on my own raising twins, no family support. Nobody said they were going to support me. And, you know, the women at the clinic said, you know, if you talk to your friends, you know, they would tell you to keep it. And it's like, it's no one's decision but mine. And my friends are going to sit here and take care of my babies for me. So I don't care what anyone's opinion is unless you're actually birthing these children, which is, I also had a medical condition, which who knows how that could have went about regarding my babies. And I was malnourished. So my babies were malnourished because I didn't have any money to eat food when I was overseas because I had already missed my flight. And the gentleman, the father said they would provide for me and they were nowhere to be found. So I actually was eating fruit and crackers during my pregnancy and my babies, you know, were not as healthy as, so it just was not a pregnancy that I would like to have normally, you know?
Wow. I love that you kept saying the word resiliency, resiliency. And that is a word that I feel like needs to be not thrown out. It needs to be used a lot more. Like we are resilient as much as we can quit so easily. We can take that dark road. We can take that way out if we wanted to. But when we are resilient, we have to go through some of these hard times. To teach us, to give us a lesson on how strong we are, where we have to look within ourselves and just really untap that like power that we have inside of us and let it out. Because if we aren't resilient, it's easy to do the whole busy work. You know, like I'm going to just put all this, we were talking about this offline, like the to-do list. Like, let me put this on my to-do list. And are you really to-doing it? Or are you looking at it going, dang it, I got to to-do this? You know, and that resiliency in our lives is very important. I mean, life, we are a different person 10 seconds ago than 10 seconds now. And within that 10 seconds, I learned so much about myself by listening to you, which builds my resiliency.
Ooh, I like that.
You know what I'm saying? Because we were talking about this again offline because we weren't recording. But like I was saying, like how you educate me. Even though I'm older than you, it's like I still get the education from you who is younger than me. I've never had kids. I've never have gone through anything. I mean, I'm a barren woman. My eggs are like 100,000 years old. They don't want kids. They don't make kids at all. But it's like, you know, that resiliency in me about not having kids. Like I hear it from people who like you, who have gone through a trauma like that. And it's educating for me. You know, it's not like I'm not judging. It's just educating to me like, oh my gosh, like somebody else is going through something. And it, again, builds my resiliency because I'm learning from you. And resiliency is not just within us, it's from around us too, because we have to learn. We have to go, we are going through stuff. Life is not easy. We go through stuff and we learn and we take those lessons and, you know, we put them in our brains and understand, like, if that situation happens again, you're like, oh, wait a minute, I've done that. Now what can I do different? You know what I'm saying? It's like, there's always some kind of lesson. There's some kind of education. And the people that I have met and the people that I've surrounded myself with, I take that education in me and learn. And that's why I have a show like this too. You know, it's like I want to highlight people who are doing amazing things, and but like it's that education, it's that communication. I love that, and I'm so glad that you and I met and have like talked about this, because this is really cool. This is really cool information. And just store this story, like no one is alone. No one is alone. And we just have to reach out to each other. So
I like that.
I'm gonna start crying.
You're so funny. Really? It's okay.
It's just because I've grown since 2020, and it's just so different. Like life is so different, and what we want to do is so different, and we are so thriving. You know, we are so thriving. Like I like talk about my positivity forest and how I continue to build it every day. And you're part of the forest.
Aww.
You know, like I think about like the positivity forest, you know, like you share your love for people. I share my love for people, and we just like plant the seeds all over the place and let them grow. And then that person like helps another person, you know, I love that. So like, this is the perfect time to like, tell me about your launch. What are you launching?
Chai Together Collective. So starting November 1st, I'm working one-to-one with 10 individuals. Okay. And we're also going to have our collective calls. So if you want, you can link the document, but all the details are within. So it's going to start November 1st, and it's to get anyone mental resolve. So it's free flow. I'm a free spirit. So I do have a menu of things, you know, week by week, and that goes into the other week, of course, but it's really what you need from me now. You know, I've done a lot of the work, and that's why I'm able to show people how to do that, you know, themselves. And a lot of people look up to me and come to me for advice. Now it's like, okay, advice is great, but if you want me to help you further, I can actually take you through the steps on doing so. And it's interesting because everything is different for everyone. So it's if you're more visual or more audible, etc. But it's the fact that I know I can help people by just how you said I educated you. So it's like, I know it's within me, and I offer so much value on Chai Together now that, you know, I put it into a collective. And it's really interesting because I was going to do a group format first, and then I realized I'm more interpersonal one-to-one, how I do interviews. My undergrad is in interpersonal communication. In the future, I would like to do a group, but right now it's more beneficial for me to give one-to-one attention for like the best results. And I feel like transformation only comes from someone doing the work, right? Like I can guide you, but if you're not able to pull that out of you and gain that courage, hope, imagination, what Chai stands for, then it's not going to work. You have to have that mindset that you believe in yourself. It's going to work. And it's like, I already believe in people before they believe in themselves, and encourage. They love that, but it needs to be more than that. Cause I just did a recent post for the, you know, National Girl Child Day. And regarding that, you know, if you want change and transformation, sign up. If you want to still live in pain and suffering, like how I was for 12 years before that emotional impact situation happened, you shouldn't even have to get to a situation like mine, you know, where it was so horrific and tragic. Like you need to stop before it even gets there. So if you want that kind of help, I can help you. And I'm very direct. I'm very bold. I don't sugarcoat shit. Like I'll let you know how it is. And if you don't like it, you're too sensitive, you need to build that thicker skin, and I can help you by just working with me, you know? Life's not, I learned like life's not lollipops and like candies. Like life is, I remember when I worked at Burger King, I was like really young, 17, 18 in high school. And my manager told me I need to get thicker skin because I was just so sensitive, and nothing wrong with your emotions, but because of my trauma, I was. And that's why the person I was sharing with you about, when they were projecting that onto me, they have a lot of that unhealed trauma. That's why they're so sensitive to my words when I was just, you know, being And that's what we need to work on, is like to not have people be as sensitive, because that's when they start to think suicidal thoughts. And that's when they start to really go down that hole of depression, etc. It's because they are just being very emotional, and we're emotional beings, but too emotional, you know, to be practical about things as well. Like this is how life works, you know?
Like I think
But
about,
yeah, that's me. Yeah.
like
That's what you're gonna, I know you're gonna learn, you know?
and
Yeah.
I believe that you as a resource
Mm-hmm.
really is, again, we're not alone.
Mm-hmm.
We're not alone. And as coaches, we are like, I've met people who are like, don't coach me if you've not gone through it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't coach me. Like I think about my training, like my like powerlifting or my strongman training. It's like, don't coach me if you've never done it.
Yes. Yes.
You can Google all this shit all you want, but if you've never done it, you don't know what the struggle is to pull 400 pounds. You
Mm-hmm.
don't know the struggle of like being scared under the bench when your arms feel like they're gonna fall off when you
Mm-hmm.
take the weight off. You know what I mean? It's like
Yes.
that connection, that resource. Like if you have gone through it and you've done the work
Mm-hmm.
to better yourself or to understand your traumas are not defining you, they're just a
Mm-hmm.
lesson, they're just a lesson of you.
Yep.
It's like, don't coach me on that,
Mm.
you know. I've met people like that, like, don't coach
Yeah.
me if you've never gone through it,
No.
if
And
you've
I used
never
to
done
power
your
lift
work.
too. I used to power lift.
Yes, I have.
Yes, I did. So much fun. But no, and when I think about it recently, I was just thinking yesterday something, it's like, if it's my past, like it's not something that I breathe, sleep, eat now, like, you know, those events, like it's not in my conscious. I'm very healthy and I'm very in tune with myself and I live in the present, I live in the now. That's why I'm not suffering. And when I say suffering, it's when people hold on to the past, rethink that thing the whole day. I used to like drag things on for a week. I'd have anxiety over, oh, text message, like, and I'm thinking about that, like it took over my life, like had no boundaries, no control. It's like, I don't live like that. I live for me. I only
Yeah.
focus on me. I focus on community, yes, but as in, I don't ever let anyone, once again, make me feel inferior or tell me about myself, as I was telling you, because you haven't walked in my shoes to tell me about myself. So where I am, this is another part of psychology. Whatever traits I have now, and whatever I need to learn, unlearn, etc. Okay. I have these traits, whether I'm being defensive, assertive, etc., whatever people may feel I'm being, and I may be being that, right? It's because this is what I need to do to stay sane. And this is how I'm stable, is by having these traits from my traumatic event. You know, this is how I cope now, if that makes sense. Not saying that this is how I've shifted to cope, is by me being assertive. I'm a very bold person. You know, me having these boundaries is because I know my triggers. I know what works for me. So, you know, if anyone ever tells you that you're a certain way or you're this, and this, it's like, yes, I am, because this is how I stay sane. And that's what works for me. So it's kind of, you're letting people know that this is who I am. And I am this way because people don't think that someone is this way, or maybe they're not as open to, you know, speaking to me because, let's say, if they were assaulted recently or something, like, you have to take into consideration that people have unhealed traumas, whether they share them with you or not. And that's why people are the way they are, whether they leave you hanging, like ghosting. That's also a mental health concern that stems from, you know, unhealed trauma. So all these things people do, it's not that they're bad people, and it's not that, you know, they're not at your level, etc. It's more so in the sense of that we all need help somewhere. Yeah.
Yes. I told myself, like, you know, before, like, I'm in my 40s, and back then when you would go to therapy, everybody would be like, are you crazy? What happened? What's wrong? You're crazy, right? But now I'm like, yeah, therapy, best decision of my life. Best decision of my life, because that therapist, if she were still around, I had to go through like 3 different therapists until I found her.
Me too.
But
Me too.
because I had to find the right person, you know, the one that understood, like, that can understand my personality and see, you know, like maybe like a different side of me and not pigeonhole me. But anyway, I really wish this one therapist was still around. I mean, she was already in her 60s when I met her, so I'm pretty sure she may be dead. But she was awesome. She was awesome. Like she was awesome. We talked about like sexual, like why am I giving my body up to people who don't love me?
Mm-hmm.
And it took a long time for me to get that. And I'm just like, what are you talking about? And then maybe like a year or two later, I was like, you know what? I want a real relationship. And it took me a long time. And I was just like, no. And then all of a sudden I met my husband. It was just like, it took a lot of work.
I would love that if you're listening.
It took a lot of freaking work on myself, but then I noticed, I'm like, I stopped doing that. And, the person that I was meant to be with showed up. So yeah, but like best decision of my life, best way for me to like understand myself, it was that outside party. And I was just like, you know what? Okay, I get it. I understand. But I was also open to it and like learn from it and understanding about it. So some people are like, no, I'm not going to go to therapy. I'm too good. I'm just like, you sure? You sure?
I love it.
Oh, all right, my friend. We're closing this out today or right now. So what's coming up with you besides your launch, which we'll put all the I'll put all the information on the YouTube description so people can find you, find your launch and reach out to you. But like, what else is coming up with you?
Oh, I'm going to take time for myself. That's all I'm going to do. I'm not doing any extra work or extra. No, we're just focused on one thing, the launch, and that's it. Nope.
Awesome.
School, regarding school, I have not gotten the acceptance yet, but for speech pathology, I'm doing my doctorate and it's starting January.
Girl.
Yeah, so that's the plan, but that's why I have the collective starting November 1st for 10 weeks, and then I have school. So, and it's interesting. Let's see how things work out, but yeah, speech pathology is what I'm working towards.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. I don't know if I could go back
Give
to school
people a
now.
voice. Yeah, give people a voice.
Yes. Yeah, I love that. I love that
That's
you're
what I
still
wanted to do.
pursuing. I love that you're still pursuing,
Yeah.
whatever the next level is for you. Whatever the next level. I love that.
Yes, you can call me Dr. Pratibha Dey, SLPD in the future. That's right. My parents didn't come to this country for nothing, as you know, so.
That's right.
I am going to be a doctor, mark my words.
You may have inspired me to look into being.
You should be a doctor yourself.
I'm like thinking about it. I really am. It's in my mind.
I mean, you're not having children. You might as well pursue your career.
I know, right? Shoot.
Thanks so much.
All right, my friend. I will get all your information, put it on the YouTube description, so whenever people can hop on your launch, your group, and talk with you. And if they have any other questions about anything else, they can reach out to you. I will put all that information in the YouTube description page, because you know what? This is all about connection and talking with people and highlighting them. So my friend, Pratibha, I'm like, which way are you on my camera? I'm like this.
Look at my eyes. They're just like, nah, you're fully open.
All right, my friend. So you guys, this is the episode of Let's Talk Java today on this Monday morning and International Day of the Girl. Woo! Yes. So you guys, make sure you like and subscribe my YouTube channel, because there will be more guests coming on who are inspirational and encouraging. And I want to make sure we are connecting all the possible resources, because you are not alone and we are all sharing our strength. I'm sharing my strength with you. Pratibha is sharing her strength with you as well. So make sure you guys like and subscribe. And you know what? Everybody needs to listen to it. Connect us. So you guys have a wonderful day. And I hope you guys are staying safe and happy and joyous. I will talk to you all soon. Have a great day. See you guys. Thanks, Pratibha.